Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Jerry Opoka, and if you're new to this channel, you are most welcome. If you've been here before, thank you for coming back. If you're a subscriber, thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed, please do. And if you like the content of this video or any of the videos, please like them so that the algorithm can work in such a way that more people get to see these videos and share the message. We never know who we might bless. So today I want to speak about something that has become a thing over the last few years. Excuse me, and that is being present. That is being aware. Some people will call it being conscious. I say it's being here fully now, like being completely immersed in this moment now. As I'm speaking to you, for example, I cannot be speaking to you if I can, and that's the interesting thing, and also the confusing thing about this topic is that we can be present but not present. I could be sitting here with you, but I'm thinking about what I did yesterday and what I'm going to do tomorrow. And it's like our conscious and subconscious minds have been doing this dance for so long that the conscious mind takes the driver's seat on so many things, and it's based on what we have been doing repeatedly over the years. And I'm 45 years this year. So you can imagine that's probably a possible 40 or 35 years of programming me in a certain way. So the subconscious mind, knows what to do, when to do based on what I have been doing. So I can be here, but I'm planning other things. I'm fixing other things. I'm speaking, but from my notes, I'm looking at other things that, make me not present. I'm here, but I'm not fully here. Like all my attention is not here. So that's what I want to talk about. The importance of being present, the importance of living in the now. That's what some people call it. I mean, there's all these things. And like I said, in the last few years, it's become a thing. There's so much change that is happening around the world, not just around COVID, but COVID came in when I personally believe there is a shift that we're going through as a universe, as a human race on this planet. There's a shift that's happening. We see it on the physical, but also there's a shift that's happening in the spiritual level that causes us to want to understand life a bit deeper. And if you want to understand life deeper, you have to be present in the now. Why? Because life is happening now. What we are doing here together, sitting down and, I'm speaking and you are listening. It doesn't matter when you listen to this message. You are doing it in your now. And that is the only time we have where we create. That is the only time we have where we are in real partnership with God to bring forth a life that we want, a life that we desire. So how present you are in any given moment determines the kind of life that you're going to create, or whatever it is that you're trying to create. So where are we then if we are not in the now? If I'm here and I'm not present, where am I? We are either in the past or we're in the future. We're either thinking about what we did yesterday, or we're in our memories. The memories are things that happened in the past that we have pulled back to the present time. So I could be here sipping on a cup of tea, but I'm not really here. I will not notice, the cars that are driving by. I will not notice the birds that are flying. I will not notice, my beautiful plants that are growing, and know that, there's a new bud today, or there's a leaf that is starting to turn yellow. I will not notice that because I'm not here. I'm physically here, but my mind is somewhere else. And that's what we do with a lot of our alone time, our me time. There are people who are afraid of their me time because their mind takes them to a place that they, are not comfortable dealing with. So we are either in the past or we are in the future. So we are either thinking about events that happened and we are replaying them in our minds, sometimes wishing that they had played out differently, or sometimes just trying to understand. But in that process, we relive. And that's, our minds are so fantastic and so beautiful and powerful that when we are in a particular memory, we, as far as our subconscious mind is concerned, we have gone back. That event is happening again. So how much we get into that moment, how much we give into that moment, especially on an emotional level. When we add feelings to that memory, we really are living that, whatever that experience was. And that's why you'll hear that they say people who are always angry, they start to affect their physical body, because every time they get angry, they release, they get into a feeling. And then when they're not, in that space, if you think back about, what happened and you replay it in your mind, you feel the same emotions and you get into the same feelings and you release the same hormones inside your body that will make you really feel like you are in that space. It's also akin to actors. To be a good actor, you must be able to feel a scene and cry like you are really in that place, or you should be so happy, like, just at the drop of a hat, or someone snaps and says, now you're supposed to be happy, and somebody literally wipes whatever emotions and gets into another place and really acts it out, so much so that they cry or they laugh. They laugh from deep, deep, deep inside. So we all do that on a mild level, but where the subconscious mind is concerned, there's no, mild or not mild. We're either living it or we're not living it. And if you do that, then you are living it. Where else would we be if we're not in the past or in the present? We're in the future. We're in the future either planning, we're in the future, trying to rearrange the future. We are trying to see how things will turn out. And when we want to see how things will turn out, we are thinking about a thing that has not yet occurred based on something that already occurred, that was either the same or similar or close, or you think that, there's elements of what happened in the past that may play out again in the future. So how do you control it? How do you make sure it doesn't work? How do you, what are your plans? How do you, try and control? So we get lost in the future, and we spend so much time in the future. Sometimes it causes us to get anxious if we think we might not get the results that we want, if we don't do certain things, if we're not in control of certain things. So you're sitting here, but your mind is in tomorrow. Your mind is in next week. That meeting, that presentation, that whatever it is. And you're really trying to, to see yourself and how it plays out at that time. Yet, the most important time you have is now. What can I do? So I know what I have to do in a week's time, but what can I do now? Now, when you're living in the now, everything is sort of magnified. The things that we don't usually see or hear or feel in the now, because we are in the past or in the future, we're not really feeling things now. That's why I said we're not really noticing the plants, we're not noticing sounds, we're not noticing things around us. But when you're present, suddenly you start to notice. You start to hear things that you never thought you heard before. One of the things that I love to listen out for is the sound of birds chirping around. I used to think we don't hear birds anymore. Yes, there's more traffic. Yes, there's less birds that we see because also there's less trees. But my goodness, there are birds everywhere. And when you are present and just decide to say, for the next 10 minutes, I'm going to just sit here and listen to what is happening around me. Like I want to tap into, every sound that I hear. you will hear birds, you will hear crickets, things that we don't ordinarily hear. You will hear, cars, you'll hear sounds of children in the neighborhood that you never even thought ever came out to make, a sound. And that's so important because in that moment, at that time, we are connected to nature. I'm hoping that there's no wind. It's nice and breezy this evening out here. So I will just hold my mouthpiece just in case. So, yes, I was saying that everything is then more magnified. The sounds, the colors, we start to notice that, oh, and I talk a lot about my plants because there's a whole bunch of them in front of me. But I notice them when I sit here. I notice that certain leaves are starting to change. I've got a purple plant in front of me, and I notice that some leaves, kind of look pinkish, others look more red, then they get like spots of yellow, and yet ordinarily it was just a purple plant. So you start to notice things, and things are a bit magnified. When you're happy, everything is just so beautiful around you. The thing is, when you're not happy, when you're in a sad place, when you are in a difficult place, in a difficult situation, and you try to be present, that too gets magnified, okay? And that's why a lot of people would rather not deal with that magnification. It's just like too much. It's just, even the emotions that you feel are too much. But it's very important also that we understand what is going on. So if you know that what you're feeling seems to be magnified because you're in the now, because that is what happens in the now, then you should not run from it. It is in that space that you are dealing with facts. It's in that space that you can actually, the facts are there, but you allow yourself to really see what is going on, how it is unfolding, okay? Even the events that happened 5 minutes ago are still so close that you can decide to go back, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and just try and understand what happened that's causing you to feel a certain way now. So you can unpack whatever is happening now a little bit behind, and you can also think about what you want to do a little bit at the front. I spoke sometime somewhere about trying to get to a place that's a kilometer away. So you kind of visualize where that is, how you're going to get there, where you're going to pass. But before the kilometer, there is a decameter, I think, and decimeter, and then a meter, and then centimeter, and anyway, you know what I'm trying to say. There's there's those spaces. Now, if I want to get out of this place to try and get to my 1 kilometer distance, I have to move a millimeter. So slowly I take little steps. Same as the situation. If I'm in the present now and I want to get to a certain place, now is the best time for me to see what is directly in front of me, how far my eyes can see, where I'm going to put my foot. That's why they say a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. So you want to go 1,000 miles, you have to take the one step. The only way you start is, you start to deal with the big problem is, where am I now? So what is happening? So that is what is so critical about being in the present. Human beings, because of how we have been conditioned, we like to go to the negative. We look at things from the negative. In the present is where you can look at things from a neutral place. Yes, it looks bad, but what is really going on now? It's kind of like you step aside from all the chatter in your mind, all that's going on in your mind. You step aside and say, what is really going on? Now you're looking in from the outside, okay? And you can almost hear two voices, speaking and going back and forth. So and then we are so good at running physically from issues, but also mentally. And when we find that, certain things are too much to deal with, we run. But this is a time where we need to start taking a deep breath and just saying, what am I dealing with? What am I afraid of? What am I frustrated about? What am I sad about? What is really going on? And then you start to unpack whatever you're faced with. And once you start to unpack, you're bringing it down to bite-sized pieces that you can deal with easier. The issue that you have is no longer such a monstrosity. The issue that you're dealing with, you start to see how you can go a day at a time. I read something the other day about the mind. I wrote it down somewhere. It says the stories you tell yourself create a you which is not true. Again, it depends very heavily on the stories that you're telling yourself. So aside from these stories, can you stop and say, who am I? Am I the things that I think I am? Because every now and again you'll say, no, but I'm not, you know, what's that mentality that the imposter. I'm not an imposter. The imposter mentality that people talk about, feeling like I really cannot be the person that I'm thinking I am. I can't do the good things that I think I'm going to. I cannot be the one who's invited to this event and I'm going thinking that, yay, it's because it's Jerry. I start to feel like I'm a fake. That comes, there are moments when it comes in and there are moments when it's in the sidelines, and that's when you're feeling, more confident, you're feeling more, more pumped up. I can do the things that I know that I can do. Then when this voice creeps in, this is what happens. So when that voice creeps in, that is a time for us to stop and say, what is going on? I want to, and that's the time for us to be present and start to analyze. And eventually you will even go deeper than just understanding that, this is the so-called imposter syndrome and it's not real. You will then start to go deeper and say, but why do these thoughts keep coming up? Why does this voice come up when these things are about to happen to discourage me? Then you start to go deeper and understand where it's coming from, what could have happened to you so many years ago that has led you to this place. And once you discover that, it starts to diminish because it's like you've demystified that thing that, seemed so big. So in this season, as we are dealing with the difficult things that we're all dealing with, a lot of deaths, a lot of sickness, a lot of information that's coming through, a lot of things that are worrying and, frustrating, there's anxiety and so on. It's very, very important that we take a moment to be in the now, to be present. And listen, we don't have to be in the present forever. Even just 10 minutes, even just 5 minutes to say, what is going on? And just try and line things up and see what message comes through. Eventually, you can start to do meditation. And meditation takes you from just being in the present to connecting with your inner true self, your higher self, with your God self, with the Holy Spirit, with God. You get into a space where you connect, and then when you come out of it, things just sort of start falling in place and you start to realize that actually change is happening around you. So this is a message really to encourage us at this time, at this difficult time with what's happening with a lot of COVID deaths and news and so on and so forth, to remember to just, within our spaces, just take time off, sit down and say, what is happening? What is happening right now? What am I dealing with right now? What is within my control right now? What can I do to change my situation right now? Forget what you can do in the morning when you wake up. Focus on what you can do right now. And if there's nothing you can do right now, acknowledge that there is nothing I can do right now. That is a good place also to then ask God, ask the Holy Spirit, ask your guiding spirits, the angels, ask them what you should do right now when you don't have a plan of action. Right now, when you don't know how you're going to make it work, acknowledge what you want to work. Acknowledge that you may not have a plan right now, but get your helpers. Get your spiritual helpers to come in. Ask Ask of yourself, what can I do? Give me a plan, and then leave it. So that's my message for today. I hope it blesses you in one way or another. I will do another session on how we can get deeper into this. So thank you so much. Once again, if you've not subscribed, please do. If you feel like this message meant sense to you, please click the like button so that it can also go out to others who can share from it. Thank you very much, and see you soon.